Hello everyone, welcome back. So today would be the continuation of the last class. So tenses. Last class I think we saw about present tense and we'll be saying about past tense this time. Hope you are all aware what tenses are. So tenses are used to show the time of an action or state. Anything that happened, we should, in order to communicate it clearly, we must express it in a way when the action occurred. And that is where tenses come into play. So, yes, last class we saw about present tense, uh, which is used to depict the current moment, and past tense would be used to express about the actions that had happened earlier. So, just like present tense, past tense also has four subtypes: um, simple past, your past continuous, and past perfect tense, and past perfect continuous. Okay, so we'll be getting into detail on all four of these subtypes. So yes, what is simple past? It is quite simple, as the name says. Any action that has occurred in the past, the action is completed, it is done. Okay, that would be written in simple past tense. An example of that would be she wrote a poem yesterday. So a poem was written by her yesterday. Okay, the action occurred yesterday, so it is a done action. And whenever we are using simple past tense, we make sure that we add the timing as well. I mean, the timing means when the action actually happened. So here you can see that the action happened yesterday. Okay, and second one, they played football last week, which means that the action has been completed, played, right? So the action has been completed, and when it has been completed, last week. Okay, so there is this concept of regular verbs and irregular verbs. Okay, so for most verbs, when you add an ed at the end of that word, it becomes the past tense of that particular verb. For example, you can see walk, and to make that into a past form, you just have to add ed to it. He walked to the store. Plan. Planned. Yes, you have an extra N, but yeah, just adding an ed will make the verb to its past form. Those kind of verbs are called regular verbs, and then we have irregular verbs that don't follow these rules. For example, become. If you add an ed, it would become becomed, which is wrong. That is not the past form of the verb. It would be became. And for buy, it is bought. And for get, got, have, had. And for shut, it is shut. And I've seen a lot of people, uh, adding ed to shut, hurt, cut, put, which are all wrong. Okay. The past form of shut is shut. The past form of cut is cut. The past form of put is put. It's not I put it into the basket. I put into the basket. Okay, the past form is similar to the present form. Hope you understood that. And those kind of verbs are called irregular verbs. Just an extra add on information for you over here. So, how do you construct a sentence? How do you construct a past form of the sentence? You will have a subject, which is the doer of the action, and then you will have the verb in its past form. Okay, and then the rest of the sentence. You can see an example. He drew beautiful pictures last week. So who drew? Who is the doer of this action? He. So you have the subject and you have the verb in its in its past form. So he drew, and what did he do? Excuse me. Yeah. So what did he drew? I mean, what did he draw? He drew beautiful pictures. And when did he draw it? Last week. So you have the time mentioned over here, which is your last week, and what he drew, which are which we are talking about is the picture, and who drew it? He. Okay, so this is how you would construct the sentence in your past tense. Subject and verb in its past form, and the rest of the sentence to complete to give additional information and when the action has completed. So for positive sentences, you just follow the same rules as I told you. And when it comes to negative sentences, here is an important thing to be followed. I started is a positive sentence, right? And for negative, we usually saw that we add a not in front of the verb. I not started. No, that is wrong. To tell that the action has happened in the past, we use did over here, right? And for simple present tense, I hope you remember, we use do not, right? And for simple past tense, we use did not. Okay, do is the present form and did is the past form. So I did not, and the important thing to come, you will not use started when you use did. Okay, did is usually it is like a condition that if you use did, then the verb following the did would always be in its first form. Okay, which is I did not start. I did not start it. Wrong. So yes, and if it is a question, it's quite simple. You just have to swap places of did, right? So I did not start, and if you want to question, if you want to change that sentence into the question form, then you must use did I start? Okay, did you start? Hope that's clear. Let's get through the examples. You gave the present to your friend. So the action has already happened, which means the present is already given, right? So it is an irregular verb, as you can see, because the first form would be give, and the second form would be gived. No, wrong. Since it's an irregular verb, you write it as you gave. Okay, and we bought a new car, and we have got a negative sentence over here. He did not draw beautiful pictures last week. So first thing we saw, he drew beautiful pictures last week, which is the past tense. And for past tense negative, you use did not. And when it is did not, you don't write drew, right? You get back to the first form of the verb, which is draw. He did not draw beautiful pictures last week. And did I learn Spanish last summer? It is a question. Yes. How would you answer this question in the past tense? You would say yes. Yes, I learned. Right? The V2 form of learn is Learnt. Learned Spanish last summer. Okay. If it is a no, then no. I did not learn Spanish last summer. Did you see the difference? If it is a positive, I learned. And if it is a negative, I did not learn. Okay, it's not learned again because we are using did and the verb should be in the first form. So I did not learn. And same follows to the next question. Did you give the present to your friend? So again, since did is used, the verb is in the first form. And for the last one, did we buy a car? Okay. Hope you understood simple past tense. So let's move on to the next subtype over here, which is your past continuous. Any action Okay, any action that was happening in the past. Okay, any action that was happening in the past and it continued for a specific time. Okay, it continued for a specific time. That is mentioned in your past continuous. For example, today morning, okay, maybe at 6 o'clock, I was working out. So at 6 o'clock, this action was happening. In order to denote that, we use past continuous tense. And getting into the examples, first one we have I was reading a book at 8 p.m. Okay, so at 8 p.m., an action was happening. What was the action? That I was reading a book. And second sentence, so when it started to rain. Okay, they were playing outside when it started to rain. So the rain, imagine that the rain has begun, and when you saw across the street and you saw some children playing, and you have to, so this action has happened, you have observed this action, and maybe after 20 to 25 minutes you see your neighbor, and she asks you, where were the children? Okay, where were the children? And the last time you saw those children were 25 minutes back, and they were playing outside, and it started to rain. So that is when you observed this action. So you would be using past continuous tense to depict it. So they were playing outside when it started to rain. So the rules are quite simple for past continuous tense. In order to frame a sentence, you would be using was or were plus the verb in ing form. Whenever there is a continuous tense, just know that the verb would be in ing form. Okay. So depending on the pronouns, depending on the nouns, if it is a singular noun, okay, you would be using was. You're talking about one particular object, one particular person, one particular place, then you would be using was. He, she, it, I. Okay, these all denote, uh, denote one singular noun. So you use was plus ing form. For example, I was playing, she was sleeping, he was writing, and uh, maybe it was getting drenched. Okay, maybe you placed your uh, shoes or something in the rain, so it was getting drenched, it was getting wet. Okay, and next we have your plural nouns, in which you're not talking about one single person, but you're talking about multiple persons or more than one. Okay, so in that case, you would be using were. And yes, you as an exceptional case over here. Okay, you as an exceptional case, you might be talking about one single person when you talk about you, but since it is an exceptional case, it would also come under plural nouns in this scenario. Okay, so you'd be using we, they, you for were. Okay, so we were playing, you were sleeping, and they were writing. Okay, so to form a positive sentence, we just saw the subject, and depending on the subject, we'll be using was or were plus we in the form of ing. I mean, the verb in the form of ing. She was cooking all morning. And for negative sentences, it is quite simple. You just have to add a not in front of the main verb. So, what is the main verb over here? Sleep, cook, right? So, you just have to add she was not sleeping when he came. Adding a not will turn the sentence into a negative sentence. And people ask me, she not was sleeping. Is that right? No, that is not right. It is supposed to be she was not sleeping. Not is supposed to be in front of the main verb and not the helping verb like is, are. And you may also club those two words, like your helping verb and not. For example, she wasn't, and the spelling would be WASN apostrophe and T. Okay. And in order to form questions, it is quite simple. You just have to move the helping verb in front of the subject. So, was she sleeping when he came home? Okay. So, when do we actually use past continuous tense? So, when there are two actions that are happening at the same time, and in order to describe that, you may use past continuous tense. You look at the example. While I was washing the dishes, I heard a loud noise, which means the action was. I was washing the dishes. The action was continuing, and that is when another action happened, which is a loud noise. Okay, so both of these actions happened simultaneously, and to describe that, you are using past continuous tense over here. And for the second usage, to describe what someone was doing at a particular point in time. Okay, I think we talked about it earlier in the past continuous tense, like a specific, an action happening at a specific point of time, and we may use past continuous tense to depict those actions. I was working in the garden all day yesterday. Okay, I was making this PPT uh, at the night. Okay, and to express interrupted action in the past. So again, it is quite similar to the parallel actions, right? So again, one action was happening and the other action interrupted the action that was already happening. Okay, an example of that is I was driving to work when I crashed my car. So I was happily driving, and all of a sudden, another maybe a cat walked in front. So I'd have to drift my car, and I've crashed it into a lamppost. Okay, so an action was happening, and that is when a cat walked through, and I immediately crashed my car into the lamppost. Okay, so this could also be expressed using past continuous tense and to describe repetition and irritation. Okay, so you might have seen people doing the same things often, right? So you would be using words like always, forever, all time, and these kind of words would be used in past continuous tense to tell that the action is being repeated n number of times. So an example of that is he was always complaining in the class. Okay, he was taking forever to get ready. Okay, these are the examples. Let's move on to the next subtype, which is your past perfect tense. And this is one of my favorite subtype. Please don't ask me why, but yes. So you have two actions that happened in the past, okay? And the two actions did not happen simultaneously, okay? One action happened first, and the other happened following the other action. Okay, so how would you tell that okay, this is the action that happened first? By using had, and that is what past perfect tense is all about. Okay, so just look at the example, you will understand it. She finished her homework. Okay, let's just read it completely. She had finished her homework before dinner. Okay, now you can see that there have been two actions that have already been done, right? The first action is she finished her homework. Yes, homework is done, so one action is completed. And before dinner, which means the dinner is also done. She had finished her homework, she has already finished her dinner too. Okay, so two actions have been completed, and which one would have taken place first? As you can see, had finished. Had is used with her homework, right? She had finished her homework, which means that was the action which was completed first, and only after that she has had her dinner. Okay, hope it's not confusing. Um Look at the second sentence. They had left by the time we arrived. So there are two actions. There were two actions that had already been occurred. One is they had left. Okay, maybe your friends. So those persons have left. And the second thing is the time we arrived. Okay, we arrived. We arrived is the second action that happened. So we arrived and your friends left. Okay, they left. So which action happened first? So first one is they had left, right? So which means your friends have left first and then you arrived. Okay, they had left by the time we arrived, which means you both didn't get to meet because your friends have already left. Okay. And the sentence construction is pretty simple over here. So you have two actions that have already happened. So John had started the music before I arrived. So I arrived, John started the music. So which action did happen first? So John had started the music, which means John started the music, and only then you arrived. Okay. So you have a picture of the timeline over here. So the first activity that is completed would have had with its main verb, and it is followed. I mean, the second activity will follow the first activity. Okay. They had considered that option before signing the contract. So two actions has happened over here. One is signing the contract, other is they considering the option. So which one happened first? They first considered the option and only then they signed the contract. And the last subtype, which is your past perfect continuous. Okay. So again, it is quite similar to past perfect tense, where two actions happened, and in past perfect tense we just put the helping verb had to the action that happened first, right? This is also quite similar to that. So the action which were happened first, okay, will have had with it. But since it is a present perfect continuous tense, continuous means it was taking place at one specific point of time, right? So that is what your past perfect continuous is. It's just a mix of past perfect tense plus your past continuous tense. Okay, so the uh, specific at that specific point of time, this action was happening, plus in the sentence there would be two actions, and whichever action happened first you will have a had verb along with the main verb. Okay, so I look at the example. I had been working on the project for hours before taking a break. So two actions happened over here. One is I was working, right? And second is me taking a break. Okay, so two actions. I was working and I was taking a break, right? So which action happened first? So I was working, and I have been working on the project for hours, right? Only then, after working for hours, I took a break. So the first action that happened is working. So I have a had over there, and you may ask me, you said it's just a combination of past perfect plus past continuous tense. Then why is been over here? Yes, whenever a verb is in ing form, okay, either it should be accompanied with helping verbs such as am, is, are, was, were, or else been must be used. Okay, it is a condition again, and that is why we have been over here. So I had been working on the project for 2 hours. I had working is wrong. Since the verb is in ing form, we use been over here. Okay, and next, they had been studying since morning. Okay, here we are just telling that since morning the kids had been studying, which means that action is not continuing now, but we are giving a time limit telling that they had been studying, and when they had been studying since morning. Okay, the problem with past perfect continuous is we don't use it that often. Okay, for colloquial English, which is your daily conversation. Okay, in the spoken form, we don't use it much. But the main motto behind using past perfect continuous tense is to, as I said earlier, two actions happening and to denote which action happened first at a specific point of time. Okay. So the sentence construction is pretty simple. For positive sentences, you have a subject and you have the past form of the helping verb have, which is your had, right? So had plus verb in ing, and verb is ing is always accompanied with be form of verbs. And be form of verbs are nothing but am, is, are, was, were. Since we are like you're using a past perfect tense, here it is been, and you have a helping verb, and you already have a helping verb called had. And now you cannot insert another helping verb as was, are, were over here, and that is the reason we are using be in its third form, which is been. Okay. And for negative sentences, it is quite simple. You have you just introduce not. Okay, not in front of your been, between your had and been, which is she had not been playing tennis, or they had not been playing tennis. And in order to question, you just have to swap places for the had and subject. You swap had in front of the subject and you have your question form. Had they been playing tennis? Okay. So, yes, the usage we just saw now, two actions that are happening. Okay. And to, you know, to prioritize or to express which action happened first, we are using had been. So the boys had been playing soccer for about an hour when it started to rain. Two actions. It started to rain, and the other thing is boys playing. Okay, so which one happened first? The boys had been playing. Okay, that happened first, and you're using had been over there. And to express the duration before something in the past, again, it is quite similar to the boys example. Richard needed a holiday because he had been working hard for 6 months. So two actions again. Richard needs a holiday, and Richard has been working for 6 months. Okay, so which happened first? Obviously, he has been working so hard, and that is the reason he requires a holiday, right? To describe the cause of something in the past. So, these are more of like connecting sentences. Okay, one minute. Sorry. So, yes, to describe the cause of something in the past, these are more of like connecting sentences, like because of this happened. That is what it basically says. For example, he was tired because he had been jogging. right? The person was tired because he had been jogging. So one action is leading to an impact. So since I had been jogging, I am tired today. Okay, hope you understood that. So it's your activity time, and let me solve the first one for you. Okay, and the rest five will be solved by you. And I have the answers in the next slide, but please no cheating. Try to solve it by yourself and then check on the answers. So, yes, first one. She write a letter yesterday. Okay, yesterday. Yesterday means the action happened in the past, and since they have already given the, already specified when it happened, it should be simple past, right? So, she, the past form of write is wrote. Okay, so she wrote a letter yesterday. Hope that makes sense. And please do solve rest of the uh, questions and pause the video because I'm going to show the answers for you. So yeah, these are the answers. And if there are any queries or do you want a detailed explanation in any specific topic, please do reach out to us. And thank you so much for your time.